Hi, you guys. Come on in. I'm just getting everything set up. Per usual, there's a lot to grab. We're going to do so many fun recipes today. So thanks for joining. Come on in if you're here. If you've never done a cooking class with me before, don't worry. These are really fun. We're trying to keep it simple and to the point and easy. But if you've never done with me before, come over to the chat box. That's where you can come say hi. I always love knowing where you're listening from, phone in your car, what state you're in, where you're from. It's so fun to see because this community really does expand beyond what I even really know or recognize. And so it's so fun to see your names and faces. And yes, I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you for coming, for saying hi. I promise this is going to be worth your time. That is my number one goal today. Make this so worth your time that you can get 3 recipes that you will be able to take into this week, into your real daily life, be able to prep, make beautiful food that's going to help sustain you, make you feel really nourished and grounded, and maybe meals that you will get to share with other people or just have just for yourself for the week. So that is always my goal. This year, one of my biggest goals as we're talking about this is to keep turning the camera on to show you what I'm actually doing and how I actually cook, because I think a lot of you think that I am maybe A, cooking all the time, or B, that I love cooking. And that is not actually true. Shocker, I know. 2 cookbooks. I post about food. I share recipes all the time. But the truth of the matter is not that I love cooking for cooking's sake. I cook because real food is a non-negotiable in my life. And it's one of those things of I cook because it's what eating real food enables me to do in the other areas of my life that matters to me. So for me, having the most energy, having a healthy and happy and positive mindset every day, even when I get very little sleep with 2 little kids, running a business, being a mom, being a wife, being a boss, there's a lot going on in my day. And I know that the same is true for so many of you too in this community, that how I feel and how I enter every day is so important, right? It's it's the one thing that matters the most. And so to me, eating real food has become this, very, very non-negotiable thing that I really, really try to focus on and do my best to eat most of the time, because I know that if I do, it's the one habit or behavior that makes everything else in my life easier. And you guys know this. If you've been around for a long time, you know my obsession with The One Thing, the book, The One Thing. And in that book, he's talking about to-do lists or on a calendar, looking at everything that you have to do and trying to look at it and identify what is the one thing that I could do that would make the rest of these tasks or the rest of the items or the rest of the areas irrelevant or easier. So when I look at my life and I'm looking at all the time and energy and life force that I'm pouring out into all these areas of my life that I so gladly and so I really want to be, right? And I want to be having the most energy and the most vibrancy for those things. When I look at what is the one thing that I could do to help ensure that for most of the time and most days, I really do feel the best I possibly can, it is what I eat. And a lot of people overlook this because I think the way that we're taught about cooking and eating healthy is very overwhelming. We're taught to think that we have to do it perfectly. We have to meal prep. We have to plan. We have to do it all the time. We have to have this intense system. We have to be kind of all or nothing at it, if you know what I mean, where it has to be this, if you're not spending tons of time and energy thinking about what to cook and planning and cooking and prepping, that you may as not well be doing it at all. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions there is about cooking. And one of the reasons I feel so passionate about sharing the way that I cook is because I feel like I have sort of figured out, not perfectly, how to get the most I can get. So the most nutrients, the most minerals, the most vitamins I can get. So the most real food, the most nutrient dense real food in the smallest amount of time. So like, what are the quickest recipes? What are the most efficient ways to make something? What are the ways that I can get that food ready to go so that I can eat it, I can serve real food to my family, and then move on with my life, you know, pour all of my time and energy into the places that I want it to, versus spending so much extra effort cooking, thinking about your food, obsessing about food, you know, needing it to be perfect or not perfect. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. You guys are the best. You're the best. I can already see you're like, yes, you're here for it. This is so fun. It's exciting. And a good reminder, right? Couldn't we all use that reminder that maybe we are making this slightly more complicated than it needs to be? So again, when you think about all of the things that you could do for your health, I really believe that thinking about the one thing being your food is the number one domino, that if you just do that a little bit more consistently, and I'm not talking anything crazy, but like the food is one thing that you will see the immediate effects of what you're eating that day, like within hours. It's the one thing that when you think about it, it does that almost that immediate effect on our blood sugar, on our digestion, on our immunity. But it also has the impact of like over time, you are going to be a healthier person. Your cells are going to be more healthy. Your blood sugar is going to be more stable. You will have less cravings. You will have more energy. You will have a happier mindset because your body is physically feeling so much better. So a lot of times people jump over the food piece and they jump right into workouts and other things and biohacking and doing all these things, when the easiest thing to do is to just become a little bit more intentional about the food you're eating. And it actually has nothing to do with the amount of time that you're spending cooking. It doesn't. Time does not matter. If you have 5 minutes, if you have 10 minutes, amazing. That is what I usually cook for dinner, is 10 minutes max, okay? You can do a lot in 10 minutes. It's just about your intention behind it and the ingredients that you're using. And again, we're trying to get to a place where we can have the best of both worlds, the best ingredients to fuel our bodies in a way that is truly doable in real life. Yes, you guys are like, amen. Yes, like let's get going. I really believe that this is the differentiating factor for people who are able to create a lifestyle that's healthy and joyful and feeling more effortless and sustainable over the long course of time. That's the whole goal, right? That's what we all want. There's a big distinction between people who are able to live in a more effortlessly healthy way and one where it's always this constant, like all or nothing mentality, the quick fix mentality, always on to the next thing, trying to do everything perfect, going in these massive extremes one way or another. If you feel like you fall into that camp, you are not alone, right? There's so many of us, but it is something that really is easy to kind of shift and change, knowing a few tips, knowing a few tricks, and that's really what I want to teach you today. I find that it's the biggest differentiating factor between somebody who has a lifestyle that does feel easy and more effortless and joyful and delicious and fun, and you have a great relationship to food, is learning how to cook and throw meals together and prepare stuff with what you have in a way that's very simple and very easy, based on real food, but keeping it the most efficient as possible. Does that sound good? Yes. Okay. I know you guys are like, you're all in on this. You're so excited. I just think that we have to use the time that we do have better, right? It's not that we need to have more time suddenly appear out of our busy schedules. That's probably not realistic nor going to happen. But starting with this mindset, if I can give you one piece of advice before we jump in, start with the mindset that cooking is an act of self-care. Meaning, again, it doesn't matter the amount of time that you are spending something, it's about the intention behind it. So even 5 minutes to go on a walk around the block, 5 minutes to do, some breath work or breathing, or doing a face mask, or lighting a candle, or changing your mood by changing your state. It's not about the amount of time. It's about, okay, how present are you? How intentional are you? And really taking that moment to shift things. So starting to think of cooking as the number one thing you can do for self-care. Again, it's that number one domino that makes everything else easier when you feel better, when you feel energized, when you feel very like stable, and I mean emotionally and physically, and just with cravings and everything. Your mood is all connected. So starting to think of cooking as, instead of a chore, as it being something so foundational to taking care of yourself so that you can better take care of others around you, take care of your work, take care of the world. Be able to serve the world at a higher level requires you taking care of yourself at a very basic level. And that's what I consider cooking to be. Okay. It's not that I just love to cook, but it's like the means to the end of what that means my life looks like. And more importantly, my life feels like from a daily level as we go through. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I'm seeing a lot of like, yes, could use as reminders. I'm so excited for this. Yeah. Okay. So today, I want to share with you some tips and tricks to make this easier for you, to re-inspire you to get back in the kitchen, to show you that it really doesn't have to take a lot of time or energy or effort. You can use things that are very simple that you can get from any grocery store, just with this intention behind it of like more real food, more vegetables into my life. How can I do that in a way that is just a lot more effortless, right? And not making it this big production, but keeping things as simple as we can. And trying to streamline it a little bit more will make your life so much easier. Okay, so today's recipes are going to be 3 really fun recipes where I'm going to do a quinoa and broccoli bake. I'm trying to find my recipes here. We're doing a quinoa and broccoli bake. So almost like a casserole, but the base is quinoa, which has a lot more protein in it, has a lot more fiber in it. We're going to pack it with some veggies. It has a little bit of cheese in it. You can also leave it out. This is the thing with my recipes. Again, if you are new, they're all real food based. Most of them are 5 ingredients or less. And they are very flexible. So meaning they're all going to be gluten-free because, sorry, I am, and I have to be. You can always add it or have it on the side. But most of them are very flexible in terms of like adding dairy or not dairy, adding meat or no meat. There's always ways that you can swap and adjust based on what you need and how you feel best. No person is the same when it comes to food. And even in different seasons of our life, different foods will feel nourishing and fueling and others will not. And it's always changing, which is why it is so great to have a wide base of recipes and ideas and ways you can tweak things depending on what you need in that moment or in that season. Okay, so we're going to do that. It's kind of a one-pot meal. The concept behind today's class is there's 3 meals that you can make under 30 minutes for the week. You can take 2 different approaches on this. You can make all 3 meals at once, like I'm going to show you how to do. I'm going to make 2 today and show you how I'm prepping one of them to keep in the fridge. You could also put it as a freezer meal, and we'll talk more about that. Or you could take these 3 recipes and let's say these are your the 30 minutes of the week that you will need to just prep 3 different meals. That should last you with some leftovers depending how many people you're cooking for. Okay, so the quinoa and broccoli casserole bake. We're also going to do a gluten-free peanut sauce noodle bowl. So good. The sauce is truly good on so many different things and it's so easy to make. And then I'm going to show you how to prep a sheet pan drumstick chicken and veggies. So it's a honey mustard chicken using drumsticks, which are one of the least expensive cuts of meat that you can get. Great organic chicken drumsticks. They're kind of fun to eat. And just, different ways to kind of mix things up, especially this time of year. So again, all 3 recipes are very flexible based on what you need, what you eat, and what you like. And that is one of my second tips is before you start the week to pick 2 to 3 different recipes to make for that week. Picking 2 to 3 keeps it simple, right? You can mix and match. You can make them spread out through the week. You can make all 3 at once, but selecting 2 to 3 that might work based on maybe what you already have in the fridge, based on what you like, based on your mood, based on what your body is saying that it's needing. 2 to 3 is very doable. It will also prevent you from a lot of takeout, from spending money on things that you don't need to be spending money on food-wise. Things with bad oils and things that are not going to make you feel good and create inflammation in your body. There's so many things you can do, honestly, between like 5 and 10 minutes to create something at home that's going to be so much better for you than buying food out or not having a plan at all. So that's my technique. 2 to 3 a week. Think about it. Maybe I'll plan them. Maybe I'll do them all at once like I'm going to show you today. Maybe I'll break it up during the week. It just depends what you want. We want flexible. We want it to be easy. Easy breezy. Yes. Okay. So I am going to close out the question box here. I see your comments and stuff coming in. I'm going to try to weave them in as best I can. However, we got 30 minutes on the clock and we are really going to go for this. Okay. You guys ready? All right. So first we're going to do the quinoa and broccoli bake. So this is an amazing recipe that's actually so easy to prep. All it takes is about 35 minutes in the oven. So this is why I'm going to do it. Most of this is actually hands-off work though. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to grease this casserole dish here, and I'll read you the ingredients. We have quinoa, we have broccoli, so fresh broccoli. You can also use frozen. I'm going to do some frozen peas, again, to just amp things up here in the vegetable department. Might as well. And then it's almost like a cheese sauce that you're going to use over the quinoa, pouring in quinoa dry, putting in all of our ingredients, raw or dry, covering it up, popping it in the oven. So the most important part of this is really making the sauce, which is made of chicken broth and then some milk. So you can use almond milk, cashew milk, whole milk if you can do it, and then a little bit of cheese. For those of you who are plant-based, you can do like more of a plant-based cheese. I would just encourage you to check your ingredients first. There's the most important thing when it comes down to shopping and looking and deciding whether something is real food or not, is starting to think about, like, is this something that can I recognize all the ingredients, right? Is this something that like is clean and simple and pure for my body, or is there a bunch of stuff on there that I don't recognize? Because if you can't recognize it, your body will not be able to recognize it either. Will not be able to know what to do with it. Going to cause a little bit more issues than it's probably worth consuming. Okay, so for this sauce, I have, and yes, there's a couple questions and I see them coming in. Yes, you will get all of these recipes after class is over. We will be sending them out along with the shopping list that has all of the recipes together. If you can break it up if you'd like to, but we're sending out the shopping list and all 3 of these recipes so you can repeat these at home on your own time. Okay, you can also turn this video back on if you want to just cook alongside me. Could be fun. Okay, so we're going to do 1.5 cups of broth. So this could be vegetable broth, chicken broth. You could probably use water, but this gives it a little bit more flavor. This is a 1/2 cup measurement, by the way, right here. So we have our broth. We're going to do our milk, and I have, some of you are going to roll your eyes, but this is homemade cashew milk. I love making it. Yeah, someone's asking. It's the almond cow machine. It makes it super easy. I love it for my matcha because I'm obsessed with my matcha. It's just such a life-giving force in my life every morning. And then like nights like last night when I didn't sleep a lot, because why is a toddler up at night the night before I'm doing a big class? We don't know. That's sometimes how it rolls. Okay, so we've got our milk in there and vegetable or chicken broth. It's the same amount, 1.5 cups of each. And then we're going to do a little salt and pepper. And again, these proportions, I've made this so much that I know it by heart. Just going to do a little salt and pepper. We're going to do a little bit of Italian seasoning. But if you want the actual, it's like 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 1 of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And then we're going to get some cheese grated in here. I'm actually going to start to warm this up. So again, a lot of flavor, right? A lot of flavor, not a whole lot of ingredients. These are very simple things. Like, yes, I do get questions a lot all the time, actually, about like, is cheese a real food? Is dairy okay to eat? Like, how about meat? My answer is that yes, they are real foods, right? They have existed for thousands of years in the form that they exist now. That is a real food. Thousands of years ago, was there cheese? Yes, because there was milk and there was cows. However, how it's packaged, right, how it's processed matters. And so doing the best you can to just get the best well-sourced ingredients as you can. So meaning especially for things like dairy products and for things like meat, if you can, to go organic, because there's a whole lot else in the process now between like farming and the raising of these products. So if you can, that is where I would spend a little bit of extra money, is always on your meat and dairy, if those are 2 things that feel good to you and aligned to you to eat. I go through phases where I don't eat a lot of like dairy. For the most part, it's usually cheese, butter. Sometimes it feels really good in my body and other times it doesn't. So this sauce you can actually make any way. You can do goat cheese too. This is cheddar. Cheddar is a favorite in our house. We go through it, not necessarily me, but my kids and my husband. And so for this reason, I was trying to think of a recipe of something where I could get them all to kind of eat more veggies, more quinoa, because it's a great protein. And this is a one-pan meal. I can make it super quick. It's ready to go for the week. And it's really like warming and comforting, you know, like that kind of casserole flavor. So I'm just going to whisk it together here. So as the liquid warms, it's going to help the cheese melt. So we're kind of like on a medium-low melt over here. And then we can get the rest of the ingredients going. So the next part is doing quinoa. So it's just 1 cup of dry quinoa. Right here. And we're going to do, it says I did about 6 cups of broccoli. You can adjust this however you want. So it kind of was more on the side of a lot of broccoli, which was what I want. I wanted, this is a great vehicle to like sneak a lot of veggies in. And I see a question coming like, can you do other veggies too if you don't love broccoli? Yes, of course. This would be awesome with cauliflower. You could do this with squash. This is one of those things that you could throw a lot more in there. You could do carrots, you could do peppers. So you could do sweet potatoes. I mean, whatever really sounds good to you and whatever you think will work, whatever you like, most important. But yes, definitely adjustable to what you prefer and what you love. So here, there's another question too, asking about frozen. Can you use frozen broccoli? Yes, you can. I would suggest defrosting it a little. So just running some hot water over it in a colander or strainer. That will help it lose some of that extra ice and therefore the extra moisture and water so that it doesn't get too watery in the casserole. So basically as much as you can kind of just cover the bottom, fill it with veggies. You do want to think about veggies that cook quickly. So this is why I'm using broccoli. It's really hearty, but it's also a veggie that cooks very quickly because quinoa is something. We know we have about 35 minutes. So anything you think could roast in about 35 minutes would be a really great way to go. Okay, so we've got our broccoli here. Perfect. And now I'm also going to add in some frozen peas because why not? And peas actually hold a lot less water, so you don't necessarily need to defrost them. So this is about, you know, adding about a cup of peas or more. You're going to see it's very like veggie dominant, but again, like the taste and the flavor of this is so good. Just going to stir our sauce a little more. Where's my fork? Okay. This actually feels like so rare to be cooking when I don't have like 2 kids running around, you know, and like screaming, or it's just so nice and peaceful. Again, I do really try to think of like cooking, like this is my self-care time, even if there's other distractions going on around me, even when there's stuff going on, I really do try to involve them like in the process as much as I can. Because I really do want to show my kids that, you know, cooking is something that you can do, that's easy. It's like, can be very fun. This is how you live like a healthy life. And this is how you take care of yourself, is just knowing a few basics. Like you don't have to be a chef. I am not a trained chef, you know, I just know that real food is something that I want in my life. And it's the way I want to be, the way I want to go through my day. And so I find ways to make that work and to keep the process easy and keep it fun. And so it is something that I do love my kids being able to see and taste and like try different foods and keep their palates open. Like that part of it is really important. And I know if you guys have kids that you probably feel me deeply on that and know that that's usually something that we want, and kids don't naturally, you know, they don't naturally develop that without showing them and exposing them to different things and different types of foods and seeing you cook and enjoy it, you know, like not stress out, but just kind of pull things together, having really simple meals. That's the point, right? It's just serving your body and nourishing your body and sitting down when you can and just being the example instead of like preaching it, you know? Okay, so our sauce is done. I had all the cheese whisked in here. So I'm just pouring it over the top, and I'm just going to kind of push it down a little with my forks just so that everything kind of gets coated. We don't want anything kind of dry on top, including the quinoa. So just like this. Perfect. All right, and so all we're going to do is cover with oil, place it in the oven for 35 minutes, and then you guys, it's done. Done, right? You could even do this part, just this prep part, ahead, keep it in the fridge. I have the oven preheated to 375. So we're going to put that in, set our timer, most important, right? And then we are able to move on to the next thing. Okay, so done 35 minutes, hands off. The prep work of it is like relatively easy. You can pretty much customize it to however you want. Now we are going to move on. This is like, I'm like, you can totally do this in 30 minutes, especially if you're not talking like me. Okay, so that is one of my tips for the week too. Do something that is make ahead style, that is kind of a big batch that then you could go through the week and add different things. So you could do like a chicken sausage, you could add some pre-cooked chicken or a rotisserie chicken to it. You could do grilled fish. It's kind of that multi-meal thing. You could add fresh arugula on top. You could serve it with the salad. A lot of different things are possible with this. So moving on, let's go to our second recipe, the peanut sauce noodle bowls. And by the way, you guys, if you have questions and you are watching this live or watching it recently after it comes out, let us know. If you have questions, you can send them. Find me on Instagram at Simply Real Health. You can DM me, send a message. If you have questions about any of this, let me know. Or you can send an email to hello@simplyrealhealth.com and we will make sure we get back to you. I know this is a lot at once, but I want to show you these because I think you guys are really going to love these. And I just want to show you how easy it can be to make real food and do so in a way that's not stressful and totally doable and in a way that's kind of hopefully refreshing to think about cooking and thinking about really self-care, taking care of yourself, taking care of people that you love, and doing it in a way that is not stressful, you know. Okay, peanut sauce noodle bowl. So I know one of the first questions that I will get asked, besides where my I see this juicer over here. I have to grab it. This is not my favorite juicer, but I think maybe it's gonna have to work for right now. This is like, oh, do I even know? Please don't laugh at me. I just feel like maybe I can just do it this way. Okay, we're just gonna use this. This is Kyle's travel juicer. So anyways, this is something that I know the question is going to be like, if I can't eat nuts, because I know there are a lot of you who are sensitive to nuts in our community, or your kids are, knowing too that a lot of schools require nut-free recipes. You can also make this dish with sunflower butter instead of peanut butter. You can also try it with tahini, although it will taste a little bit less sweet. So you may need to add just a touch more of honey, or you can also use maple syrup. So ingredients for this sauce. The process of this is making the peanut sauce first, cooking our noodles, and our veggies actually in one pot. So in the noodle bowl itself, I'm going to use some wide rice noodles. So these are my favorite. This is Lotus Foods. Yeah, this is from Costco. That's the giant brand of it, but they are gluten-free. The ingredients are just brown rice flour and millet flour. That's it. 2 ingredients, real food, check. And they just require about 7 minutes cooking, so much like a pasta would. And they come in these little ramen packs here. Okay, so like this. I am going to drop them in here. I am going to watch the timer now for 7 minutes. Let's see, 7 minutes, yes. Okay, and we are going to keep going. Yes, and let me know if you guys have any like immediate questions. But yes, we're gonna heat those up. After about 2 minutes, we're actually gonna throw broccoli into the pot because we might as well. It's already cooking on the stove. And if you want, there's also red pepper in this. You could cook the red pepper. I actually like to have it kind of diced up raw on the side. as like a way to kind of keep the textures varied. So we have cooked broccoli. We're going to do shredded carrots, a bell pepper on the side. We're going to sprinkle it all with sesame seeds and this delicious sauce that we are doing. So next up, we have half a cup of peanut butter. So we will get our little scoop here. And if you can do peanut butter, and if you like the taste of like a classic peanut sauce, then I would definitely recommend it. This is also something, if you have any extra, it makes a really, really good marinade and a salad dressing. So you can use it on a lot of different things if you happen to have any extra. Every time I make this recipe, we never have any extra, so that should tell you something. Okay. So we have lime juice and peanut butter. See? Lime juice, peanut butter, tamari sauce. So tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce. And you're going to do a quarter cup of that. You can also use coconut aminos. I know some people don't do soy or they don't tolerate it very well. But coconut aminos would work really great here too. So it's going to be a quarter cup of tamari and or coconut aminos, which don't have any soy in them at all, but they have a similar flavor profile, which is what we're going for. And then we're going to do, after this, is going to be 1 tablespoon of honey or maple syrup. So the honey is going to make it a little bit of a thicker sauce mixture. Now we're going to add in I'm just going to break these noodles apart a little bit. We're going to add in our broccoli to the boiling water. Here. And this recipe is written for 2 people, but you can easily double, triple, quadruple, whatever you want to do. And I just like to use kind of like the broccoli florets, the heads of it. Keep it small, easy to eat, bite-sized pieces. Okay. We need like the camera switching over here. No, we're just cooking in real life. Okay, so we've got that. We just need a little salt, a little pepper, and our honey or maple syrup. And yes, this is definitely a dressing that you can use on a multitude of things. It's great on fish. It's great on meat. It would be great on shrimp. So feel free to replicate it however you want. Once I get this in here, I'm actually going to use a fork to whisk it together. Like this. There we go. You could also add some frozen peas or use frozen veggies if you want, like in the case of the broccoli over there. Anything that you want to add into this bowl, again, feel free to customize. I just feel broccoli is one of those easy, quick things. It's nourishing, it's grounding, it has so much fiber and folate and so many like vitamins, minerals. It just like does the job, you know, and it's quick and easy to prepare. That's why it's usually mine. Okay, so this peanut sauce, you can see how it's kind of thick. So good, so good. Okay, so what we're gonna do, hang on. I gotta grab my computer charger because it looks like we're running low. Real life. Okay. I can see like Jordan and Melissa on my team like, wait, go get power. We got power. Okay, we're back. We're good. Okay, so let's check on our noodles over here and our broccoli. Let's see how this is going. We're just going to strain it out once it's done. These are almost done cooking. Right here. So all we've got left to do is slice up our red pepper, right? And for 2 people, you'll probably use about half a red pepper, but again, it's totally up to you. I like to do it thinly sliced, just kind of a nice chop. And then we have our grated carrots as well. So this would be something that you are probably going to do or make kind of like right away for dinner that night. It's a quick, easy dinner. The sauce, again, can be made ahead of time if you would like to do that and prepare. And so that's usually what I usually do for the week is make the sauce. If I have a couple minutes beginning of the week as I'm prepping other stuff, I will do it. Or again, this is a really quick, like under 10-minute dinner. That's just like, it's full of everything. It covers all the bases and it's delicious. And I'm just gonna bet that anybody else you might be cooking for would also love this. Okay, so I just rinsed and drained. Let's see if I can get my towel here just to show you how I would plate this. So I'm going to toss. Again, it will come with some extra sauce, which is great. So you are going to just kind of whisk it through, and with the warm pan is going to kind of help melt the sauce as you kind of gently toss it around. You could also use tongs. This isn't broccoli on the floor. And I'm going to pick it up before I actually step on it. Okay. You're just going to kind of gently toss the noodles around. Sometimes it can be helpful to leave a tiny touch of the cooking sauce in there to break up the starch. But here we go. And you'll be able to see, I'm going to add like a little bit more in here. Customize however you want. You can add spices, seasonings, adjust as you need to, like this. And then you're going to plate it. My tongs are missing. I told you I'm not a real chef. Okay, so you can see this. It's beautiful. The broccoli is like perfectly cooked. All right. We'll plate them both. Not like that. Right. Here we go. Thanks for laughing with me. As always, right? Okay, so I would probably just do this, around the side. We're going to plate it with some bell peppers, and we will sprinkle on top the shredded carrots, which I love. Again, another way to add more veggies, but not that you're like necessarily needing to cook. So yes, this is a great base if you want to add more protein, if you want to add chicken, if you want to add shrimp, if you want to add other types of meat, fish. It's just amazing. It's so good. Okay. Quick and easy, like 10-minute dinner. Do you guys feel like you can do that? Yeah. All right. So our quinoa is still cooking. Questions, again, you can send them to me later if you'd like. And we're going to do one last recipe because I just want to show you how easy this part is. So this is the chicken drumsticks. It's actually a sheet pan dinner. So it's one sheet, one tray, veggies and chicken both together in the same dressing, the same marinade. And what I'm going to do today is just show you how I would actually just prep this for the week so that it will sit in the fridge and marinate. And then whenever you're ready to cook, that you can throw it out, throw it on a sheet pan, toss it in the oven. Depending on the thickness of the chicken that you buy or that you're able to find, will depend on the cooking time. So anywhere from 30 minutes to 50 minutes. So again, it's one of those things, if it's ready to go in the fridge, it's so easy to just put it out, time it before you want to eat, and you are good to go. Okay, so this is a honey mustard marinade. Let me find my ingredients. Okay, we got it. I have like so many things out on the counter here. Where it is. Here we go. Olive oil. So we're going to do the marinade first. So it's about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of mustard. So I really love to use Dijon mustard. I think it has just like a nicer taste. And I do like using the grainy mustard, but that part is up to you. You can use grainy or just regular Dijon. I just love the like little crunch that it gives, especially in this recipe. Okay, 1 tablespoon of honey right here. I need more spoons. There we go. this, and you can also use maple syrup. Sometimes people find maple syrup is a little bit easier to mix together. So if you are kind of in a rush, that'd be a great way to go. We have our salt in there, salt, pepper, and then the last thing is Italian seasoning. I just realized I forgot the sesame seed sprinkle on top of your, as a garnish for your noodle bowls. Okay, so about 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And we're just going to whisk this together like this. Like this. It creates this really, really delicious marinade. Super simple ingredients that you probably already have on hand. That's the hope. Right? Perfect. Okay, now my little sticky honey finger over here. Let's see. Okay, now we are going to get to work chopping some veggies to go in here. And this, again, this does not have to be complicated. For this, I mean, I could even throw in some red pepper if I chopped it a little bit wider so that it doesn't burn. Okay, so right here, all I'm going to do, again, does not have to be perfect, doesn't have to be a perfect dice, none of that. You do not have to be a chef, okay, in order to get real food into your body in a quick and easy way. This is also one of my favorite tips to share, is that you can do the majority of the prep on just one day. So it's one time that your kitchen is getting a little bit messy, one time where you kind of have to do cleanup, because most recipes you probably will need to chop some sort of veggie, right? Or make some sort of sauce, and you might as well do it all at once. So I love doing this. And then this really enables me, frees up so much time and energy that I can spend where I want it to, especially around that 5 o'clock hour when I don't want to be stressed in the kitchen. I want to be with my kids. I want to be unwinding from work. I want to be fully present with them instead of, not present or stressed or trying to get dinner. And it's always this last minute, kind of stressful event when we know that we have to eat every single day. So doing little things, an investment of 5 minutes. Again, this is back to this self-care idea. An investment of 5 minutes, of 10 minutes could give you so many benefits and bonuses later that week. Just the tiny, tiny act of intention, a little bit of planning, even if it's just looking at what's in your fridge already, picking recipes that are based on the stuff that you already have, that counts. That matters. It's that type of behavior and that mentality with food that really adds up over time. So it's really the sticky trap of oh, I don't have an hour. I don't even have 30 minutes. I didn't go to the store. It's all these excuses that we make that honestly, it's nobody's fault. That's the way that we've been trained to think about eating healthy and trained to think about cooking food, is that it has to be this big production and it has to be something that requires so much time and energy and thought and planning. And I just think that is not true. But we do have to get over the all or nothing mentality of oh, well, I don't have time to do this, and this, so I can't do anything at all. It's just a straight up lie to ourselves. And it keeps us from feeling good in our lives, because it keeps us from taking any sort of act of planning or thinking, or just making sure, even the tiny act of making sure you have veggies in your fridge every week, or that if you're somebody who travels a bunch, that you at least have frozen veggies. There's so much you can do. That quinoa casserole is all pantry staples. You could use frozen broccoli and frozen peas, and you have quinoa in your fridge. And cheese, that doesn't go bad for a really long time, Same with chicken broth. So there's so much that you can do if you can kind of let go of the lie that we fall into, that it needs to look a certain way or take a certain amount of time. It doesn't help us. And I think a lot of times that blocks us from doing the things that are just so tiny and simple, but when done consistently over time, that's really where you see the change. That's really where wow, your energy. Imagine if you just did that pick one thing every week that is the domino for you. That if it's either getting to the store, or if it's picking out a couple of simple recipes you feel excited about, or if that it's just the thing of having the same 3 veggies in your fridge, and then you find different ways to make them, that's amazing. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be this extravagant, like Sunday meal planning marathon. It's like so much of that. If that works for you, it's great. But to be honest, like most people will find that that may work some weeks, but it doesn't work others. And then what your options are in between that space of having it all done, right? And done meticulously and perfectly versus being able to be somebody who knows how to eat well and eat real food in the midst of a chaotic, busy life and sort of figuring it out and keeping things simple and not overcomplicating things. Like that, think about that. Such a gift to yourself, truly. Like that's the type of stuff that will come back and serve you in energy and mood and mindset, and like truly in how you show up every day of your life is created by those tiny moments and those tiny decisions, and that decision to put your health first and to think about how you want to feel and to think about your mood and think about your energy. Like it doesn't just happen, I guess is my point. Yes, you guys are like, yes, preach it. Needed to hear it, right? But it's so true. Like we don't have to live that way, but it does take being willing to think slightly differently about things for that to be the case. Okay, so I've got our chopped veggies. I did potatoes, I did Brussels sprouts, I did carrots. You could also do squash in here. You could do sweet potatoes. I'm just gonna rub this guy all around. And sometimes when you're doing a freezer meal, it might take like a tiny bit more of olive oil just so that it loosens up from the side of the bag. And then for this, you could use like bone-in chicken. You could use boneless chicken breasts if you wanted to. The cooking time would be much reduced. I would probably say chicken tenders would be better. But for today's recipe, I wanted to show how to use something so simple and basic as like chicken drumsticks. They are so much more affordable. They are kind of fun to eat. And again, the size. So I wanted to show you the size on this. These are considered like very big chicken drumsticks, right? Pretty meaty, pretty thick. So the cooking time on these is going to be closer to 50 minutes, just so you know. Having a meat thermometer will definitely help. But we were just going to throw it all in there. I'm going to wash my hands. Here we go. All right, and yeah, this is just, it's a great meal for a crowd. It's a great meal if you have kids, family, people that are pickier. There's just something fun about a drumstick, or it like reminds me of childhood. And it is like a lot less expensive. So those of you who are thinking more about cost and thinking that like healthy food costs so much more, I got all of these ingredients today at Trader Joe's. You know, you can get it at Trader Joe's, Costco. This does not have to be fancy. I got organic chicken. That was $6 in chicken, right? For all this chicken. If it's something that you love, okay? So here is our freezer bag. Again, all ready to go for the week. This stays good for up to 2 days. Somebody was asking that question in the fridge before you want to take it out and cook it. Okay, so you just lay it out in a sheet pan, pop that baby in, and you're done. Amazing, right? Okay, was that helpful? I know that I'm talking so fast. I know. It's kind of a lot to take in, but I just want this to be like an example of here is truly what you can do with 30 minutes of time, and thinking of what that 30 minutes of time could come back and serve you with. It's just a little bit of time, a little bit of intention, a little bit of thinking about it, a little bit of thinking about eating more vegetables in your life, and making the transition to eating more real food, and actually showing you like this, it's so delicious. This type of food is so easy, right, to do and to make. So today I wanted to show you kind of behind the scenes of like what that looks like, how the process works, how I think about things, how I try to enter the week so that making real food can be something that is simple and easy and doable. And in the process too, I also wanted to share with you and be really honest that like I don't always do it by myself. I don't always sit down and have these ideas that just magically come to me, right? I use tools and I have things that help speed up the process, which I think is really important to share about. And it's actually the reason why I created the cooking club in the first place, was that I wanted a place to create and collect a lot of this style of recipes. A lot of this comes down to the style recipe, like 5 ingredients or less, like make it doable, make it practical, make it easy, make it stuff that we already have on hand so that we're not wasting our time and energy and money running around and trying to get specialty things. Like, we do not need to do that. We can, if you enjoy it, great, but you do not need to do that to live a healthy life. So all the recipes that I shared today, bring it closer. All the recipes that I did share today, I just want you to know all came from the Cooking Club. And not only the recipes itself, but being able to pull 3 of these recipes together, generate the shopping list. I could pop into Trader Joe's, took me 10 minutes, come back, and like, bam, we're done, you know, and I can kind of like check that box off for the week. So if this is something you've never heard about, I just want you to know that it is there, because it is one of the best things I have ever created and feel so proud about sharing, because of what it enables you to do is take real food that is simple and easy and life-giving and make it practical and easy to cook and create and eat deliciously in your real life in the least amount of time as you possibly can. So if you have never seen it before, I just want to give you like a quick sneak peek, right, of like what this actually looks like inside the Cooking Club. So this is a weekly curated real food and recipe membership site to help you simplify, streamline, and elevate how you cook, shop, and plan each week. The whole goal and my intention is this behind this is so that you can get your time and energy back and feed yourself well and who you love the most, so you can get back to what matters in life. Okay, so you come in here. This is an entire recipe database of all of the recipes I had ever created and all of the recipes I create going forward. So I actually drop a new one in here every single week. At the top, you'll see these weekly 3, because so much of eating healthy and doing so consistently comes back to like what you're doing every single week. It's not the great marathon session or the month or 2 you did Whole30. It's like what you're doing day in and day out every week. And so coming in here, you can see the top 3. We call it the weekly 3. These are 3 recipes that are seasonal, that are easy, just to give you ideas. If you're like drawing a blank, I come in here a lot and I'm like, okay, what should we do? What should we do and make this week? Okay. We also have a full section of like recently added. Here you'll see a brand new recipe again every single week. I just want to keep sharing these easy recipes. I know this is one of my gifts in life, is to create like this, create these recipes you know will turn out, you know that will be family friendly, you know that they're always going to taste great and not be super complicated to make. So everything from breakfast, lunch, dinners, we have soups, make ahead meals, one pot meals, salads, Instapot, crock pot, smoothies, freezer meals, snacks, baked goods. We have a whole section on healthy desserts and baby and kids foods, appetizers, side dishes, cocktails, mocktails, dressing, sauces. Can you believe it? Yes. So all of these things, but not only that, I think it's also important to show that this is also part of it, that you can actually search for recipes. So looking in here, you could search for whatever category you are looking for in any of those recipes that we talked about. You can also search by keywords. So let's say you're gluten-free or you're dairy-free or nut-free. You can type it in there and it's going to sort all the recipes for you to spit out exactly like options for exactly what you need. You can also sort by season. Let's say you want to do something just super seasonal. You can also combine these, right? You want something that's winter. What is a good winter baked good? And it's going to show you all the options. Okay. So when you come over here, let's say you're searching for some of these keywords and you see chocolate zucchini muffins. That looks amazing. Woo! These are so good. These are some of my kids' favorites. And you can see here, you can actually adjust the serving sizes and it's going to auto adjust the recipe for you, which is amazing. Again, if you are feeding different amounts of people, or maybe that amount happens to change, you know, kind of day to day or based on the ingredients itself or what you're cooking. You can print the recipe from here, but you can also, this is the coolest part, I think, is add it to your recipes. So you could say, add to my recipes. Then you go back and you can see your recipe favorites are right here at the top, and you can create these little collections. So this morning I made cooking class winter, 2023. Here is all of our recipes. Let's say I wanted to add that, the muffins, right? So I'll scroll down. These are all my favorites. So you can have your favorites, kind of tag them, heart them, and know that they're in one place. And I'm just going to say, add that. Okay. So we have these 4 recipes. Let's see. These are the ones I want to make this week. Again, you can adjust the serving sizes. Super helpful. or making, let's say if you wanted to make this for, 3 or 4 people instead of 2, then you can print the recipes, right? And it's going to generate, much like I have here, the recipes. If you are a paper person, if you like to have them printed out, if you want to print out your favorites and have them in one place, I know people do that. But maybe more importantly is creating this shopping list, okay? So this combines all of the recipes together, and this is what you guys will get later today. Coming through, looking at the list of it's going to combine all the ingredients so you can just literally go into the store and go bam, 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 check it off. You are done. This makes shopping so much easier. Again, these are all things that are kind of like secrets, like tips of the trade of the game. We also have our entire video vault in here of different cooking classes. If you want to cook along, if you want different seasonal ideas, just different ways to keep you inspired, because I think that part is also so important. Okay. So this is the place. It's an entire meal planning tool. We have people that just use this just for the recipes alone to browse or search or look by ingredients they're maybe sensitive to or avoiding or wanting to eat more of, or honestly, even looking by what you have in the fridge. Like if I just type in broccoli, right, you'll see and search, and it will show you all the recipes that use broccoli and all the different ways that you could go to use up that broccoli this week. So you can really see how this is something that's okay, let's take this process of healthy eating, and let's take this, all the parts that maybe become tedious or boring or hard to kind of do or keep up consistently, and to make it something that is truly easy and one place that you just log in, you can find it, you can search by whatever you need, you can adjust it so that it works for you in your real life, in your normal life. This is my secret weapon, and this is what I use on the back end. And I want you to know about it and share about it, because it's also something that, in order to have a healthy life and be eating a healthy life that's full of real food, you do not need to use all of your free time to make sure that that happens. And I really feel so strongly about that, and want you to know that there are ways to make this easier on yourself that are not expensive, that don't require a lot, but just requires, again, a little bit of intention, a little bit of investing in this part of your life will make everything kind of open up so much easier, right? And imagine how that would feel to have cooking feel easy and to have it feel effortless and something you can tap in and out of when you need to, in different seasons, or when you feel stuck, or use it as your meal planning tool. Either way you go, right? To just have that investment in yourself of something that you can automatically go to, it's going to work. That was my intention behind creating this, and it is still my favorite thing to do. And every week I'm cooking in my kitchen and then sharing the recipes with you in real time. Here's what I'm making, here's what I created, here's what's working. And so it's been so much fun. One of the best parts about this too, and something I also am so passionate about, is having this be something that is accessible to the most amount of people. I know that over the last couple years that yes, it can be, tricky to figure out how to navigate investing in yourself and making sure you're eating really well, but also that we're going through a time where people are very aware of having extra expenses and wasting money and wasting time and wasting, all of his precious resources, even your life force, energy on something that doesn't come back to serve you. And my hope with this tool is that it does the opposite, is that really for a really, really small price, that it's something that will give you hours back of your time. And that was the beginning of how I launched this in the first place, was I realized that most people spend about 4 to 6 hours a week just thinking about what to make for dinner, prepping, going to the grocery store. That's not really even including cooking. So when you think about that over hours, right, over weeks of your life, that's about 300 to 350 hours of your life every year that we spend in this process of trying to figure out our food, right? And it's clunky and it doesn't work. And so trying to think of a way to streamline that, to give you more time back, to give myself more time back, to give us all of our energy back, and just make it super simple to eat in a way of eating how we actually want to feel. So you could do meal delivery services, right? But those are about $250 a week. I've done them before. They can be helpful, but not really sustainable. You can also take the path of trying to do this yourself, which is what most people do. However, we all know how that usually pans out. It's like works for a short amount of time when you feel super inspired, but then the rest of the time, you're kind of in that all or nothing mindset of like, I didn't plan, I didn't shop, I didn't prep. Now what? Now it's takeout. Now it's food I don't like. Now it's the stuff that's just quick, but it's not really healthy. Or there's options like that we even have in the shop of like a meal plan. It's 4 weeks, but it's for a month. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. You don't have to think about it, but it's for a month, and it's $100 for those 4 weeks. So with the cooking club, I felt so passionate about making something that was super accessible and just easy to do, where it's about $2 a week to tap in, log in, find inspiration, curate ideas, customize it, make a shopping list, and you're out, So especially right now, if you are watching this right now, we have a really special little deal that I just emailed the team this morning. I'm like, what do you think we could do this? We could just give away every person who joins us for the year. So there's an option to do a year membership, and there's an option to do a month. And I see you guys you're like, yes, you love it. It's one of the best things you've ever done. Thank you. I'm so glad to have so many alumni here today. That was the hope, right? An intention and point. So you could join us for the year. And if you're watching this live, and within the next week that it's out, we are actually going to give you the winter meal plan for free. So that's our 4-week coordinated meal plan for the weeks and days that you do feel too busy to even think about it. Okay. For all the other weeks and all the other times, you have the cooking club, right, to log into and really become a part of this community, right, where we are all on the same page. We all want the same thing: real food, done easy, done simple. If you are not up to commit for the year, we also have a monthly option that's $9, and you can just take it for a test run. That's $2.50 a week, $2.50 for the week, again, to have this mental burden kind of off of your back and really have the tools in your pocket to enable you to cook in this way that is easy and is fun and just kind of lighten things up for a little bit so that you can take those $300 hours, 300 hours a year, right? And pour it into something that is life-giving to you, whether that's taking a walk or being with your kids or getting a massage or doing your nails or going, to do a face mask or a bath or whatever it is. Like, think of what you could do with those extra 300 hours a year and what ways you could put that into something that is more life-giving and life-serving. That is really the whole hope and intention. Okay. So for those of you who would love to join us, we would love to have you this year. It's my favorite thing to do. We'll send an email out after this with where you can go. It's at simplyrealhealthcookingclub.com if you want any of the info on it, the details. And if you want to grab that special deal with the 4-week meal plan, I would get right on it. And if you're watching this later, that offer will expire. So just know that. If you have any questions at all, let us know. We will be sending out the recipes and the shopping list again right after we finish class. It was a joy to have you. I hope this helps inspire you. I hope this helps give you some new ideas. I hope this helps just creating things in your life that you will want to be eating so that you can be the best version of yourself as you go out and serve the world. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here.